There is a famous quote in history by Anatole France that says, "Until one has loved an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened." As many of you know, the love that an animal brings into our lives changes us forever. Throughout the filming of this series, a very special cat called Pisa has graced the lives of holistic vets, and all who came to know her fell in love with her. Pisa became a celebrity cat around the clinic, having spent 5 long weeks with holistic vets as Dr. Lisa and her team tried all they could to help Pisa with everything from acupuncture to hyperbaric oxygen therapy to flood her cells with oxygen. But sadly, the extent of her injuries were too severe and her quality of life was beginning to be compromised. We are sorry to let you know that our beautiful Pisa lost the battle in the end.
Pisa was such a special cat, and we walked such an interesting road with her. Every day was the question of, are we doing her any service by keeping going? But there was always a glimpse of hope and always a chance that we could pull her through, and it's only been in the last week that it's become obvious that putting her to sleep was the definite and most kind thing to do. So she's taught us a lot, and at the end of the day you can't win them all, even though with many other cases we get some fabulous results. It just wasn't meant to be. And Kitty Heaven no doubt has another real little character sitting on her throne and polishing her halo.
With a very cool name like Bertie, this cat is a real character. He's come in today because he's been off his food and hasn't been quite his perky self.
My guess is either he's fallen and bruised himself, or there might be some spray around the place making him feel a little bit nauseous.
After a thorough examination, Dr. Lisa concludes that he's likely to have hurt himself, but to be sure, he's admitted to hospital for the day to monitor his progress after being given some medication.
Good boy. What a good boy. He's such a lovely cat.
Dr. Lisa heads out to grab a quick bite to eat for lunch and tells us one of her ever-inspiring stories along the way.
One time, I was driving back from Auckland after a trip to Australia, and unfortunately this little bird swooped down in front of me, and at the speed I was going I hit it and I knew that it wouldn't have survived. A little later on the journey, I pulled over to the side of the road to get some fruit and veggies, and much to my horror, I saw that this poor little bird was wedged between the grills. Of course it was dead, so I decided that I'd just get it out from there, and I put it in my empty pie bag, planning to bury it when I got back home. But my first stop in Tauranga was to check on one of our volunteers who was looking after more pork at the time, and we decided that perhaps it would be useful to give the moorpork, the little bird, as food, because that's what they eat naturally out in the wild, and this little bird would serve a purpose, reduce, reuse, recycle. So we did that, and the moorpork had a really good meal, and although it's not what I intended to do to bury the bird peacefully, at least it was just completing nature's cycle.
Aw, way to go, Dr. Lisa. Join us back after the break. Dr. Lisa has some helpful hints for you, and Archangel Super Sue has some seagulls needing her help. And by the way, let's just find out quickly, for those of you who have been wondering, what is the name Super Sue all about? Now fresh, 100% grain-free natural pet food for dogs and cats. Brought to you by healthypetfoods.co.nz for a healthier, happier pet.